This session is about how you can use our tools in remote sessions. For the past couple of weeks now, I've been fielding a lot of phone calls on how you can use uh, games or quizzes or any kind of interactive component that our tools provide in a webinar setting. And it makes sense. And just ways to engage the learner that's remote. So engaging or enraging, that's the big question, right? How are we connecting with our remote classes, our remote audience during this challenging time? A little bit about me. My name is Paul Keller, first and foremost, and I've been with C3 since the beginning, 2008, when we started working with trainers and educators and helping them provide ways to communicate their message effectively, to do it in a fun, engaging manner. Obviously, things have evolved a lot over the years, but in the essence of our company, we help provide game and quiz templates that the trainer can customize in a matter of minutes to make their training stick, right? So we have a variety of different game templates for classroom use, for e-learning, for webinars. If you're not familiar with C3 SoftWorks, I encourage you to log on and create your own demo to try it out and see just how easy it is to help with your audience, whoever they are, wherever they are. Again, you customize the graphics, you put your logos on game boards, but the essence of it is just getting your content in the games. You'll create everything on your own. We basically just provide the template and then you take off with it. So that's basically what we do as a company. We're a software company, been helping trainers and educators for 11 years now. I want to just take a couple of slides here to go over a few things about why are we even talking about games? Why now of all things? And I think it's more important than ever that using a game component in your training, and especially it's going to be webinar based or in an LMS, is vital because we are all working remote and we all feel a little disconnected. And so sharing a webinar, sharing a GoToMeeting is very important. We've got to do it. But what else is there? What can we do to connect our audience? And I think it's vital. We want to engage them emotionally. We want to make sure that they're really paying attention, not just kind of viewing the presentation and chatting things, but are they really involved? How do we know that the learners are really there and retaining the information? That's really what this is about. And so our tools today I'm going to show you a couple of game templates that you can use that will help with this. I think it's also important to know that games in general work with all age groups. It's not just millennials who are a natural fit and Gen Z coming up in the workplace, but even boomers like myself. We appreciate the break and the monotony. We get it. We know that doing a PowerPoint session for a half an hour is really challenging. So it's important to chunk up your session with a little bit of an engagement, whatever it is, a quiz, a survey, a short game. It doesn't have to take very long, but it's important that we reach out to all of our learners that way. I think we all embrace competition one way or the other. It's part of who we are, and we appreciate the break, the energy that a game can provide in a session. I think also to keep in mind that as we're engaged, as we are playing along, I think we appreciate what the trainer is trying to do, and we stay a little bit more loyal to the company. I think we just become a little bit more bonded. I don't want to get too philosophical about this, but I think it's just natural that we're adding a component. I'm providing a way to join a team, have a little camaraderie at the same time, and the this is something I've been talking with trainers for years on. I can't tell you how many times that when I talk to somebody over the phone, they say, Paul, my trainers ask on a weekly basis if we're going to play that game being whatever it is. They get it. They really enjoy the camaraderie to it. And I think you can do the same sort of thing in a webinar. Might not be quite the same as face to face, but it's the next best thing. And of course, this is all about knowledge checks. We're playing a game, whether it's self-paced or for e-learning, but I get to see in real time, are you understanding this material? And then we can kind of work with it however we need to. All right, enough about that. Obviously, we all have short attention spans. This is nothing new. Gamification was been around since 2002. Before I even worked for C3, I worked for another software company, and that term never even existed. It was just about edutainment and that sort of thing. Um, Games are really just taking a component, a game component, and combining it with your curriculum. That's what this is about. And particularly for short attention spans, you're taking the material and you're chunking it down. You're taking a small amount of information and providing it to the learner, so it can be a little bit more effective. So I don't want to get too in the weeds about this, but it's important to note the game does not have to take very long. 5 or 10 minute session is just perfect for a way to add a little energy to your session, and then you move on to something else. You're taking material and you're shedding a little light on it. You're shedding a little energy. It's just a great way to, again, connect with your audience and keep the retention going. You can also take the material and work with it. So oftentimes what trainers will do is they'll do a session, a PowerPoint session or some material, and then they will break it into a game format, and they'll kind of check and see where everyone's at, and it gives the learner real-time opportunity to kind of practice what they've just learned and work with it that way. So, and I encourage you to allow for discussion while this is going on. I think through the process of chatting and debate and discussion, we learn while we're doing this. So that experiential way of learning is key with gameplay. Of course, feedback is crucial. There's two forms of this, right? The millennials particularly like the feedback. They want to see it right away where they're at in any point in time. They want to check back and see where they're at in any particular format. But it also gives the trainer the ability to check feedback in real time. First of all, is my class paying attention? And then also, are they retaining the information? If they're not, I can check it right away and we can work with it and kind of use corrective measures occasionally. So one of the things our tools are going to provide for you is that instant feedback, instant validation. Are they paying attention, and are they understanding the material? I oftentimes like to say that our games are a perfect tool for providing material in a non-threatening way. Games are particularly great for that. The material can be challenging, can be a little difficult to understand. That's okay. This is a great time to receive a format like this and play around with it. It's if we fail, if we make mistakes, if we get answers right, we can come back and replay it. Right? It's through the failure that we learn a little bit. That's old cliche. And then obviously, again, these are just minor points that it's important to realize that games are going to connect with all kinds of learning styles, whether it's kinesthetic, visual, you guys auditory, all of those are old things that we already know, but it's important to note that games can really connect with a variety of learning styles. All right, let's get into the game itself now. I'm going to provide two examples and ways you can connect with your class remotely. And then I'm going to take you through the builder for just a brief overview to show you how you can create a game. Just a couple of minutes to show you how easy it is to build something, whether it's in a classroom or a webinar or for online use. So for those of you that just joined, I'd like you to go to c3ping.com now on your phone if you haven't gotten there yet, and then enter 5008. I'm going to launch the game here, and that link will be at the top of my screen as well. So let me just go ahead and minimize here. And we'll go ahead and play this game. Make sure I'm still sharing my screen here. Okay, hopefully you all can see my screen here. It says c3ping.com at the top. This is the opening of my Minnesota Challenge game. We're located in Minneapolis, Minnesota here. I'm just going to check my monitor real quick here, make sure I'm getting everyone to play. Welcome to go to c3ping.com 5008. I know some of the people just joined here, so I want to make sure you can see it. Oh, hold on one second. Sorry about that, guys. Uh, looks like I lost you here. One second. All right, here we go. Should be back on track here. Again, I apologize. Okay, so here's the opening screen. Again, everything about the software that you'll see is customizable. So this is your opening graphic. Whatever you need to do with this to make it your game, you can do so, or you can use the software out of the box. I'm going to go ahead and just play two teams here, and you can go ahead and sign yourself to a team. You've got the maroon team and the gold team, and I'll go ahead and click next, and you'll join a team when you're ready. You've got you got a couple of minutes here to go ahead and join a team. Excellent. So the idea with this, guys, is you'll have everyone split up, and it really doesn't matter who joins a team, who is on a team. It doesn't matter. I can have odd numbers of people on a team. I could have 5 people on one team and 50 people in another team. What happens is the software is going to tabulate the percentage of the correct answers. That's how simple this is. Get people to play on the fly. You can send the link out in advance if you wanted to in a meeting invite, just to kind of get one step ahead of the group. But really, just managing the class remotely is quite simple to do. Again, you're not using any app, you're not downloading anything on the phone, it's just simply a web connection. Now, one little tip, once I click the next button on my screen there at the bottom, it's going to it's going to start the game. So I can't have any latecomers play into the game. Now I have to restart the game, and I don't want to do that, obviously. So, if I want to manage my group, I can do so. If I wanted Mandy to play, for instance, on the maroon team, I can do so. I just click on her and then can remove her ID and then have her re-sign in again. So if it's important to have people play on a certain team, that kind of thing, you can have a little bit of control. Now, obviously, I have everyone on mute, so I can't really hear anyone. I can't really shout out at anyone necessarily. But keep in mind, when you're on a session with 5 or 6 people, you can easily have chat going on or discussion going on. And I sometimes encourage that, even though it's a little challenging in a webinar. All right, I'm going to go ahead and click next now. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and we're off and playing here. I'm just going to do 3 questions to just give you an idea of how this game works in a webinar setting. Here's my categories. As I said, we're in Minnesota. We have actually a land of 14,000 lakes. We are supposed to be saying, yeah, sure, you betcha a lot, even though we don't say that. Just people outside the state think we do. And UFTA. If you're not familiar with that phrase, UFTA, it's another word for basically saying, oh my gosh. It's very Scandinavian thing. So UFTA is the title of my game. And let's go ahead and start out here with 100 points. Everyone gets to play. First question has to do with what is this binding ingredient? What is the common binding ingredient in hot dish? Is it cheese, Elmer's glue, cream of mushroom soup, or baked beans? Now, using images and video in the game is quite easy. You can import just about anything into it. As my responses are entered into the game, I notice little light buttons going off, so I know everyone's playing along. I do not have to wait for people to play. Keep that in mind. If somebody had to leave the session or whatever, that's okay. You don't have to wait for people to join the call or to finish up. Now, there also could be a timer, and I don't have to wait for timers to play out either. I've deactivated my timers completely. Now I can go right to the answer. or I can reveal and kind of pull back to see where everyone's at in the room. So cheese is obviously a binding ingredient, and it is in hot dish, but the answer I was actually looking for is cream of mushroom soup. We eat a ton of it. And in hot dish, it has to be a common ingredient. It has to be in there, or it's just not hot dish. We refer to cream of mushroom soup as Lutheran binding in our recipes. All right. So using these pop-up screens will help you kind of elaborate on things and highlight things, explain things. Again, this could be a video or what have you. If you are using images, you can click right on the image and it'll go full screen for you. So lots of different ways you can kind of go over key information during the game. All right, scoring, not so good, guys. That's okay. We got two more questions here. We're 200 points under UFTA. This food has been described as a repulsive gelatinous dish that tasted of soap and gave off an odor that would gag a goat. Is it pickled herring, lutefisk, fruitcake, or hot dish? A lot of strange foods that we eat in Minnesota, and this is one of them, usually around Christmas time, kind of an Advent thing. Scandinavian dish for sure. Oh, don't look it up, Gold Team. All right, getting close, and let's see where we're at. Pickled herring? Yeah, not quite. Lutefisk is the correct answer. If you're not sure what lutefisk is, guys, it's cod, it's fish. And what happens is the old world days, the Scandinavians would take this fish and they would dry it out with lye so they could cure it. And then when you're ready to eat this lye, this actual lye crusted fish, you boil it for several hours and it becomes gelatinous. It tastes of just nasty fish. It's just a horrible, horrible dish. You put butter and salt on it and just gag it down. So anyway, that's lutefisk. And again, you use those summary screens to go over your material whenever you want. They don't have to be in the game, but it does allow you. All of the game templates, by the way, that I'm just using this quiz show format, this Jeopardy style game right now. But all of the templates provide that ability to add information before and after the question. All right, let's get into the last question, and then I'm going to move on to a different game format here. This one is worth 300 points. It's fairly close here, so let's see where we go. If you've never been to downtown Minneapolis, this is the Stone Arch Bridge. Kind of leads up to the north side of the city to the south end where the downtown area is. It's an old classic railroad bridge. They turned it into kind of a pedestrian bridge now. All right, in Minneapolis, St. Paul, what do we have the most in common? Is it traffic jams, lively culture scene, the Mississippi River, or Prince? Kind of a trick question, so to speak, but obviously Prince lived his whole life here. Bob Dylan grew up in Minnesota. A lot of famous Judy Garland is from Minnesota. Okay, excellent. Again, what the software is doing is picking up a percentage of the correct answer. So a lot of times I'll get questions, do we have to have an equal number of people on a team? No, you don't. It's just going to tabulate the percentage of the correct answers, and that's how you're going to get started. All right, let's see where we're at. You selected Mississippi River. That is the answer that I was going for. Yes, we have traffic jams. Good Lord, it's everywhere. But in Minneapolis, St. Paul, we constantly have road construction going on in the summertime because we have a short construction period. So the summertime, it gets even worse. We do have a lively culture scene. We have many, many theaters in the Twin Cities. A lot of stage and music scene is very big, and of course Prince. But Mississippi River is what we have. And if you travel to the very far regions of northern Minnesota, you'll come to Itasca State Park, where the mouth of the Mississippi is actually located. And you can, as a hiker, come to the mouth of Lake Itasca and walk across the mouth of the Mississippi River. It's actually kind of a cool thing to do. It's kind of a touristy thing to do, but it's actually pretty cool. And this is Lake Itasca right here that forms the mouth of the Mississippi River. All right, see all the great things you're learning today? All right, that was pretty close. Good job, guys. Now I'm going to go ahead and minimize this. Now this is a game that was created for webinar use, but if you want to take this same game and turn it into an e-learning game, you can simply do that, and I'll show you real quick. Here we just go to content, and I'll click my content. Just takes a second to find it, and then we'll go over here to actions. And I got a couple options. I can share the game. I can just go ahead and send the link out to let everybody play. I'll copy it and send it out. That's an easy thing to do. You don't even have to log in. Any number of people from your organization can play the game. It's just an easy way to share your work with anyone, to share your game with anyone. That's for self-paced. You don't need a remote. You don't need a cell phone to play online. It's all simply just using the keyboard, right? But more than likely, you're working with a learning management system, and you can simply download the game using your SCORM package right there. So you'll basically download the game, upload it to any curriculum that you're using, whether it's Articulate, Captivate, whatever the online authoring tools that you're using, you can embed the game that way. Users simply log on to your LMS, create their game, or I'm sorry, access the game, and reports, the scores actually get recorded to your own LMS. So that's another way you can use the e-learning component. The software does act as a reports function as well. So if you don't have an LMS or don't want to integrate the LMS, you simply just go to the reports section and you can track single player scores in classroom sessions as well. All right, that's one example of how you can use a game in a webinar. Now I want to shift gears slightly and use and go to another format called Tally. And this is a way to, it's a less of a game approach, but it's another way to engage the learner in your presentation in a remote setting. And by the way, if you like Tally for classroom use or webinar use, you can easily shift over to Spark. I'll show you those other templates in a little bit as a way to engage the learner through self-paced or asynchronous learning. So lots of different options for you. All right, so let's go to the my Minnesota game here. I thought I put it there, but I guess I didn't, so we'll just search this way. All right, I'll go ahead and get out your phones again. And this time I'm going to have you go to a different web address. I'll go ahead and click play. Now I'd like you to do is go to your phone's browser window. Just go right to the browser. Don't search it as a website, but actual browser window. Go to c3tally.com and then /6264. This time it's all one link, not a separate number that you'll enter, but all one link. When you get there, it's going to prompt you to type in your name. You can type in your name, you can type in anything you want. Just type in something and then click the submit button when you get there. There's a little leaderboard, little kind of a way that I can monitor the room as people join. I'm going to just go ahead and hide this, and I'll go ahead and maximize my screen here. Everything I'm showing you on my shared desktop is showing up on your phone at the same time. This is just a way to kind of follow along what I'm doing, what I'm showing you on my main screen. You're seeing it on your phone as well. Okay, and then I have a little counter at the top, so I see people are logging in. I can kind of keep control of that. If I know I've got 50 people on the call, I can wait till they all join. The thing about Tally, guys, is I don't have to wait. You can join at any time. So unlike the game shows where you're assigning themselves to a team, here I can just let anyone join at any time. Now with Tally, I can actually turn this into a competition as well. I can assign you to teams. In generally, though, this is just a tool to use for letting everyone answer questions on their own. All right, I'm going to go ahead and click next. It's just a little preview here about this question I'm about to show you. Every state has crazy old laws that are still on the books, right? They go back usually to the 19th century, and Minnesota is not Minnesota also has some really bizarre laws that are still active, right? They're actual laws that still remain on the books. So my question to you is this: which one of these Minnesota laws are still active? You can click all that apply. Riding a motorcycle without a shirt, teasing a skunk, sleeping naked, crossing state lines with a chicken. Go ahead and select your answer, and then make sure you click the submit button to validate your answer. Now I could have a timer in here if I wanted. I could have a, basically once I click the next button, that kind of seals it up. But you'll notice at the top of the screen, everyone's getting their answers in. So I can go ahead and just keep going over this material if I need to. And we'll go ahead and click next. And I've got percentages here, just like I showed you with the games. Here's that feedback. I can get ideas of where everyone's at. Believe it or not, guys, all of these are still on the books. They are all still. If you come to Minnesota, you better have a shirt on when you're riding a motorcycle. Don't stop on the side of the road and tease a skunk. Please, if you're sleeping naked, I don't want to hear about it. And if you go to Wisconsin, you better not bring a chicken with you. All right. So this is basically how the multiple choice style questions work. Behind the graphics, guys, is all customizable. So you'll put your own logo or your own background behind this in the graphics area. But this is just a less of a game approach to delivering your content. By the way, if you're going to get your haircut, women out there, ladies out there, if you're going to get your haircut, you have to have your husband's permission. Now, when and if we ever get to a salon again or a barber, please bring a note. All right. This is a open-ended question, a chat style question. So I'm asking questions to my class, and what do we do during our long 9 months of winter? Go ahead and tell me what you think we do. Well, yes, we knit. Thank you. We do eat a lot. You guys are all real. These are all conservative answers here. I was looking for something else, but breeze, yes. Read. You know, we didn't have to shovel that much, Tamika. It was not too bad of a winter this year. I still have gasoline in my snowblower, believe it or not. It was kind of a weak winter. Thankfully, it was a weak winter. So this is an easy way to highlight where everyone's at, kind of go over answers. By the way, I can keep this anonymous, right? So I don't have to see what Samantha says, sit by a fire. I can keep it anonymous. I can also hide these answers. So if I want to get feedback, but I don't want to show the answers on screen, I can do that as well. That's more of an open-ended style of questioning versus a chat style. All right, the last question. There's a little bit more information here about Minneapolis and the Twin Cities. One of them is kind of the sexier of the two. St. Paul's considered the kind of more laid back, old school city. I don't think that's true anymore, but whatever. This is using pictures in the form of your answers. So what do the Twin Cities have most in common is we've already kind of went over this in the other question, obviously. So the other game. So obviously this is a little giveaway here. I'm going to go ahead and click the next button just to keep moving through this. It'll validate on your phone. It should validate. And by the way, if you're not seeing the images on your phone, that's okay. Sometimes there's a little bit of a lag depending on how the internet is. There is a way I can push out the information so that you receive it again. You know, obviously, this is Lake Itasca. We talked a little bit about that. The last question is using an example of an image marker. This is the ability to take an image and highlight over the section of the image as the correct answer. So which one of these guys are not from Minnesota? Again, I kind of gave away this, this answer earlier. Bruce Springsteen, Prince, Judy Garland, and Bob Dylan. So as a developer, as an instructor, you can just bring in the image, highlight over the correct answer, or I can highlight over the entire answer if I wanted to, make it more of a polling style question. Like which one of these is your favorite musician, that kind of thing. Yeah, there was everyone's answers. We got some people that said Prince, shame on you. And Judy Garland actually was, I don't know if she was born here, but she lived here a short period in northern Minnesota. And Bob Dylan grew up as a teenager in northern Minnesota in a mining community called Hibbing. All right, let's get out of this now. I'm going to go ahead and you get an idea of how Tally works, right? Multiple different questions types. I can have a leaderboard in here if I want. I can split them up into teams if I want. But generally, this is less of a game approach to the type of training that you can do with this program. So I'm going to go ahead and just minimize this. And to create, how do you create a game? And I just want to quickly go over a quick overview on how you can quickly design something when you get started for the first time. And we're going to send out a link to everyone that's on this call so that you can access this C3 Cloud platform. You can basically just go right to the create button. You will find multiple different game templates. We tried the quiz show format to start out with. That's a kind of a Jeopardy style game. And if you scroll down, we've got some other Energizer type games. Again, these can be used both in the webinars and for e-learning purposes. So if you're looking, you want to share this in an LMS and do a moonshot game, it's kind of a fun, silly race to the moon with your content, you can do that as well. And then farther down here, we have the Tally template that we just played. Again, Spark works just like Tally, it's just more of a self-paced review. So I'm playing the questions, multiple choice, open-ended, hotspot questions on my cell phone or on the desktop. It's really the two programs. In the email follow-up that I send you today, we're going to show you an example of Spark so you can get a better idea of how that works in your self-paced learning. To get started, just pick a game, doesn't matter which one, they all work the same way. Click the start button. Loads up real fast. Give it a title if you want it to. Again, I'm not going to get into too much today. I just want to kind of quickly show you the basics on how to get started. You can drag over any part of the game to get going. You can use customize the avatars if you want. The title or the logo of the game goes up here. Just kind of hover over wherever you want to customize or use the graphics button, either way. We're just going to get right into the game question. Customize the categories however you need to. Just click right on the box and give it a title. That's all you have to do there. And then when you click on the question box, you're going to obviously type in your question, and then the answers go below. And you can do anywhere from 2 possible answers in these game shows and as many as 5. Whereas the Tally and the Spark templates can provide many, many more question types, up to 9 possible answers with these formats. So you can click on the correct answer, and then use the preview slides and the summary slides like I did with my hot dish question or lutefisk questions. These are just buttons to use whenever you want to load in images. Just click on the little folder and you can drop in the image however you need to. Takes in any image. You don't have to do any formatting. Again, this is very simple software, guys. You're not going to have to do a whole lot of tweaking with anything. Just find the image and drop it in. Click the OK button when you're done. Click OK to get out of the game, and then do the rest of whatever you want to customize. The teams, change the avatars, the audio is all preset. However, you can put your own music in. I had the University of Minnesota's Rouser song in the opening of my game. You have game text, so it can be in any language. It won't auto-translate for you, but you can drop in or type in any language that you want. But here's what I want to point out. If you want to try out your game in a webinar setting, just go to Response. It defaults to basically what we call slammer mode. That's basically letting teams play the game kind of in a shout-out answer type form. That's not going to work in a webinar. So you're going to click the down arrow and select virtual. The virtual setting is all you need to do to get this started. When you start the game, you'll have a link that appears at the top of the screen, and then you'll have your own 4-digit number to play. It's 5008 on mine. You'll have your own separate code. It's the same code every single time you play. So you're not going to have to reset anything. Every time you play a game, you can have up to 100 people play on a call. and you're basically just going to launch this game just like it is. So you're not really going to have to do anything. You're not going to need a username or password or any of that stuff. It's just click virtual ping setting and you're off and running. So that's basic nuts and bolts to a game creation. They all work pretty much the same way. You just decide how you want to deliver your content in kind of, whether it's in a web setting or a classroom setting. When you're ready, just go to content, find the quiz that you've just created, go my content. You'll find it right here. Go to actions over here, and then you can play it, edit it, share it. That's just sending out a link, letting people play it on their own, or download it to an LMS. That's what I was showing earlier.